The average rent in the United States has increased by 24% between 2020 and 2023, and more than half of low and moderate income borrowers now spend between 30 and 50% of their income on mortgage payments or rent. And this cost burden is way too high, obviously, for working families and for the elderly in particular. When was the last time that we had a concerted effort federally to try to house all the folks in this country that are desperately seeking rental housing, a pathway to home ownership? It feels like it is holding folks back in my county, but when my state, but when I talk to colleagues across the aisle, this is something that's impacting just about every congressional district. There's just not enough housing. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Swagel, thank you so much for coming this morning. The CBO's budget and economic outlook for 2024 to 2034 indicates that the economic growth achieved during the Biden administration will remain steady, inflation will continue to fall, and job growth will continue. After the COVID pandemic, we have a lot to learn from all of this and a lot to celebrate about the recovery, which has been the best in the world. But today, I want to specifically talk about an issue that's incredibly important to Vermont, which is housing. It is surprising to many people to learn that Vermont has the second highest rate of per capita homelessness in the country. And like many parts of the nation, we have many, many fewer homes than are needed. And this has made rentals and home ownership out of reach for too many Vermonters. But it's a national crisis too. According to a recent estimate from Freddie Mac, America is short by 3.8 million units of housing, both for rent and for sale. And that's certainly something I hear from a lot of young people as I travel across Vermont. Their concerns for the future about will there actually be housing for them when it's time for them to start a family. So this week, I introduced the Community Housing Act, and my bill would make a transformational investment in building new, affordable housing. It's rooted in innovative solutions that Vermonters have embraced for many years, such as community land trusts and shared equity models. And by emphasizing new supply and long-term affordability and protections for renters, we can get to the root of this complex problem, both in Vermont and across the country. And we can help more people and more families, but by doing that, we also help the economy, both in Vermont and nationally. And so my question for you is, can you tell me what the effects are that the housing crisis has had on our nation's economy, and looking out, how could increasing the units that are available for people both to rent and own, again, help the nation's economy as a whole?
No, you've put your finger on a really important issue economically and socially. And we've seen the impact of the Fed's interest rate hikes on the housing sector. We project pretty strong growth in housing based on the factors that you said, just in terms of the very strong demand for housing to continue. The supply side focus that you said, that in some sense, that is probably the policy, one policy lever to have innovative changes on the supply side. It would improve the economy, and it would have important social effects. And I think of the issues of inequality you mentioned, and others of mobility, people being able to move to the right job or the right place for them as a family.
Just wondering, when was the last time we saw a federal investment of the size that's needed?
No, that's right. As you said, it's a local issue and a national issue. I can't think of the last time there's a full-scale issue. I mean, there have been programs with some resources. The American Rescue Plan Act had some housing assistance, but not the national effort that you're suggesting.
So in closing, I just want to say that the bill that I put forward is a $500 billion investment in housing. It is a big ticket item. It's what's needed right now. When we talk about nearly 4 million fewer homes that are needed right now, it's a real crisis, not just for individual Americans, but for the economy as a whole. Thanks for being here.